Hi everyone, it's Valerie, and I'm going to show you how you can be an engineer by making a ping pong ball launcher. I'm going to start with the basics in the beginning. The standards that were used were the third through fifth engineering technology standards, all three of them. I've added an additional fourth and fifth grade math standard because there is some computation involved with cost of materials. So those two would be relevant for fourth or fifth grade. I will start off by showing them my little homemade launcher there to the right, and then we will discuss what would happen when I launch the ball. What kind of force behind it. If I just did it slightly, what will happen? If I did it with full force, what would happen? And just kind of have a conversation about that in general. And then I would show them this for crazy catapults and how to make video. I'll just show you a little snippet of it if it will work because I'm having some technical difficulties. So these are the four that you would watch this particular person make. They're a little elaborate, and I will say that my two test subjects, which were my daughter and her best friend, tried one of them, and I don't know if our popsicle sticks were too big or if it was just kind of hard to grasp how we were connecting them with rubber bands, but we scratched the whole thing and started over with something a little bit more simple to do, which can happen in the classroom, right? And it's okay to tell your students that that is allowed. And then I can show them some more examples. Here's some examples that I found online, which were really cool as well. I think one's even like a big slingshot that could go pretty far. Then they'll have this little blurb. It's going to be on a little piece of paper. You've been recruited to create a ping pong ball launcher. You have a budget of $100. Submit your plan first. Make sure to leave room in your budget because when you test, after testing your launcher, you may need to buy more materials to revise it. The objectives are that the ball must go 10 feet with just the first bounce, no additional bounces or rolling counts, and the structure must be freestanding. Your bonus objectives are to try to come under budget to please the employer and make it look nice. I think that you could do an individual if you had a smaller class, but working in pairs or threes, depending on how many students you have, I think would work really well. They will need to calculate, after they drop their plan, decide which materials they're going to use. They need to calculate that from the cost of materials that will be supplied to them. They need to make sure that they add in additional percentage for tax, which will probably be given to them. I'm not sure if they would know that yet. Hence the math standards that you can throw in there as well. They will be given a couple of blank checks, just play ones from Miss Valerie's class, that they'll fill out. And then they'll bring it to me to purchase their materials. And if that amount is incorrect, they've done their calculation incorrectly, then I'll write void across the check and return it to them, charging them $1 fee for that. Because, in real life, if you've written a bad check, you have to pay a return check fee. Just a little real life lesson. Then they need to go create their launchers, test their launchers in the hallway. If it doesn't meet requirements as far as the feet, then they need to go back to the drawing board and make some revisions and go from there. Oh, I will have bonus coupons that could be given out for great design, longest test launch, great teamwork, neatness, keeping their area neat while they're preparing for their or making their launchers, and then of course hallway behavior, because that can kind of tend to get out of hand sometimes when they're unsupervised. This is the cost of materials and the coupons that I will use. I know it seems a little bit expensive, but when you get up to $100, it doesn't take much, as my test subjects found out. So again, my test subjects were my daughter and her friend Sloan, her best friend. This is them. They're in the middle, getting their materials, sketching out their plan, communicating with each other. Their finished product is up in the right hand corner. They've decided to name it Swagalicious because they're cool like that. And then, of course, their finished plan with their revisions, their original cost, and then their final cost, because they did end up having to add more materials to it because their first test launch did not make the 10-foot mark. And the fun stuff. I'm going to keep myself right here, and we're going to play this one first. This is them sketching out their material and building it. They were really fun to watch. And then this is their final launch. Well, launches, because they had a couple tries. This was asked. I'm going to pause it real quick. This is after they made their revisions. So in the first video you just watched, they had a bunch of popsicle sticks in between. They ended up having to add a few more because that gave more of a force on the back of the popsicle stick to flip forward for more length. Please excuse the yays in the background, but they had tried several different times. It kept hitting the ceiling, or it wasn't going far enough. So then they had to make revisions. And with the final revision, you can't go back to in the real world, you can go back to the drawing board, but with this, you only get one revision. So the restrictions on this for a fair test, as far as standards go, was the cost and the amount of times that you could go back to look at it. They had a lot of fun, even though they said they didn't, but they did. It was funny. And then finally, the rubric for assessment would be worth a total of 50 points. And after I scored the girls, they finished under budget. Their ball launched 10 feet or more, because again, our hallway is about 10 feet long. Their launcher was extremely thought out. I ended up giving them a 3 in this category because they did have a really good thought out one, but they were having a hard time executing it. So then they went to a really simple design. Improvement, they did identify at least one, so they got like a 3 or 4 in that category as well. And then obviously they both participated in their project. So they had a total of 21, and then you times by 2, so they have 42 points. So they did a pretty good job, and really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this activity because it's a lot of fun, and I think the kids will enjoy it. And at the end of it, you can also have like a contest to see who's could go furthest, or how many bounces can it go. You can add all kinds of different entities into that as well. And finally, thank you for watching. I hope you go make your own ping pong ball launcher.